Hello everybody and welcome to America's home for racing, Charlotte Motor Speedway, just outside Concord, a little bit to the north of the metropolitan area of Charlotte itself. It is full dark here, sunset, a beautiful sunset again this evening. I was getting on for an hour ago now, and for the final time in 2025, Ford Racing's Mustang Challenge field are rolling. And what an event we've had already today, with the Xfinity car, the Xfinity race just having finished, and someone we know very well indeed, Connor Zilic, taking a victory there in the playoffs. I'm John Hindorf, and alongside me in the Ford Racing Global Broadcast Centre, Arjuna Kankapati. Mustang Challenge Racing brought to you by Ford. The cars are rolling on their two formation laps, or 1.5 actually, by the time they get round. The headlights will play a part here, although the lighting here on the ROVAL at Charlotte Motor Speedway is absolutely superb. Here at Charlotte ROVAL, a little bit longer than it used to be. It was extended last year, now just on 2 1/3 miles, which is 3 3/4 kilometres, 17 corners. And the change made down towards turn 7 that lengthened it up by a few hundred yards. And here's how they'll start on our Ford Racing grid. 2 classes, 9 in Dark Horse Legends and 10 in the Dark Horse class. And we'll bring you the way they line up after we remind you what happened earlier on today in our Race 1 event. Started off with an early spin after a clean start, actually, but an early spin for Paolo Salvatore. He went around. The battle of the day was for second in the Dark Horse Legends. Diaz and Zach Lee having a go, and time again, if we wanted action, we just had to look there. Then Rafa Matos with a lock-up. It's another win, 11 from 12 for the number 13. The man who was already taking the main championship, Robert Noacker, and it was Alex Bashura who took the victory in the Dark Horse Legends. We'll get to the Legends, which is still to be decided in a moment. Here's how they line up. Nick Smithers and Steve Vida at the back end of the grid, on the 10th row of the grid, with Drew Norbaya and Paolo Salvatore, Fattore Racing next up. And then on row number 8, Joe Derderich and Tom Tate. Colin Harrison's one of the Dark Horse runners with the red number panels. He'll start on the outside of row 7 alongside Dan McKeever. He's listed on our timing tower as Dark Horse Legends. He's actually a VIP. He is invisible for points in Dark Horse Legends, so he doesn't affect any of the championship points possibilities. Then it's Alfonso Diaz and Zach Lee battling for second and third in the championship, and maybe just an outside chance of the championship as well. Tate Pritt and Rafa Matos on row 5. Alex Bashura taking 10 points, a crucial 10 points for pole position in the Dark Horse Legends. That now gives him a 70-point lead going into the final race of the year, and he's got Andrew Akalante alongside him. Great run to 4th for Andrew in his first Mustang Challenge race earlier on today. Sam Paley's on the outside of row 3 for Paley Racing, with Devin Anderson and Tech Sport alongside him. Sandy Sotelo and Marcus Vento on row 2. And at the front of the field, it's a lockout again for Robert Noacker Racing Team, with Will Lucas on the outside of the front row. And the man who has taken 11 out of 11 so far, he's batting 1,000. We're into baseball playoff series, and he's Hall of Fame right at the moment. Can he make it a perfect season, Arjuna? Yes, he can, quite simply, and perhaps it would be a shock now if he doesn't.
He won by, what, almost 20 seconds in the first race. And I think one of the storylines that we took, not just in that Dark Horse Legends fight, but tire management, John, over 45 minutes. There are a couple of drivers that were losing 3 or 4 seconds a lap towards the end of the race. And so under the night lights, conditions that these drivers have not seen through practice so far, how are they going to adjust to the now slightly different sight lines with the shadows that will be laying over the track? How do they deal with the cooler conditions they've got? There's so much to be thinking about.
The track will be cooler now than it has been at any stage when they have been practicing, qualifying, or racing. So in some ways, this is a voyage into darkness. It's a voyage into the unknown. Down on the inside, in the blue and white Mustang, Robert Noecker, Mr. Perfect. We're going to have to start calling him Peter Perfect as well, for those of you who remember the wacky race. And I'll ask you a quiz question on that. If we'd been running Formula One style points on that, who would have won the wacky races? There was only 13 episodes ever made. A Hanna-Barbera cartoon from the 60s and 70s. The answer will come later. Here's the green flag across the line. 45 minutes on the clock. And we go to our final race of the season. Big trophies to be handed out tomorrow at the Brunch of Champions. Noecker has not had a real challenge for the last couple of races, and he's made a decent start here with Will Lucas right in behind him. Similar coloured cars from those teams. We'll have to keep an eye to make sure they don't change in the darkness. Through to the infield for the first time. This is an infield circuit that has elevation change, that has tricky nuances of different cambers over the top of the brow, down into turn number 6, the car getting very squirrely, but it is our pole sitter who leads at the hairpin at turn 7. Still got some preparation on the track there after some oil went down earlier on in the day here, and Noecker has lit the afterburners, and Robert Noecker doing Robert Noecker things.
As you'd expect, he has started to pull the gap at the front of the field. I think Alex Bashura might have lost a spot to Rafa Matos on the initial race start, and he's now trying to fight back and grab that track position. Why is that important? Well, because now he's got his Dark Horse Legends Championship rivals right on his tail as we head to complete the first lap. And John, we had done the math. With the 10 points that Alex Bashura has got for qualifying on pole position once again, he finishes 4th or higher, the championship is his.
And it doesn't matter where anybody else finishes. Now, if he goes out early, it could be a bit of a nightmare for him. As it stands at the start of the race, 3,400 for Bashura in the 33 Spark Performance machine. Now, if he drops down to 9th and finishes effectively at the back of the field, then there is a chance that he could not win the championship. It would take one of the other two, either Zach Lee or Alfonso Diaz, to win the race, and in the case of third place driver Alfonso Diaz, he would have to take the fastest lap as well, because on tie-break, if we end up, and it is possible, if we end up with Bashura and someone else tying, he is going to take the tie-break on wins. He can't be beaten in terms of what he's already achieved this season. So that's a battle we're going to keep an eye on. Alex Bashura in 8th position at the moment, but leading Dark Horse Legends. So that's something to keep an eye on. It's the dark green car with the sort of an olive colour, army green, if you will, with orange highlights on it at the front of the field in DHL. So 80 points was the gap back to Zachary Lee in the Silver Bullet, the all-chrome car, and the Tech Sport number 15, 33.50. So any of those three drivers can still win. Bashura in that army green car on the banking, and at the moment he'll be delighted that he's in clear air, because what he doesn't want to be doing here is fighting Dark Horse drivers behind him like Rafa Matos and Tate Pritt.
But he's only got, as far as I can see, it's the 98 of Tate Pritt between him.
Matos gone through.
And I think now Alfonso Diaz has made the move on Zachary Lee as well. So it has really shifted in complexion. I think Bashura is probably going to be thinking back to the end of the first race, where he did 4 or 5 consecutive lap times in the 135s, when majority of the race he had been down in the 130s. The last thing he wants, John, is to be slipping backwards through the field and to be falling down through the running order in the closing stages. He might be going a bit more conservative to open this race up.
The whole season available for you on Ford Racing's YouTube channel, as it has been all year, without subscription and without any breaks. If you want to go back and see how this championship has been run, then please do.
Little note that we've just got from Jonathan Grace, a shout out to Sportscar 365, mentioning that Robert Nowaker was talking to Jonathan about the tire saving technique, and even in the first race, both Nowaker and Sam Paley had corded right front tires, and so maybe that explains what we saw with Alex Bashura. And if the best in the race, finishing 1 and 2, were struggling that much with tires, imagine how much more those further back were struggling.
The long radius corners of the banking here, that's what puts the pressure on that right front Michelin. It is a new tyre for this year, gone down from 19s to 18s for the whole season, much to the pleasure actually of the teams and drivers. They felt it suited the car better. Now we've got a wee bit of a battle starting to come together, and that's for second and third. The mostly white car is Sam Paley. He hasn't done much testing on this tyre over the top of the brow, and it is a proper brow. That is much more of an ascent and descent, defensive into the hairpin by that fabulous Valvoline livery. Really great to see. The guys have gone to town on some classic Ford liveries. That's the battle for second overall on the high banks.
And so Sam Paley's been working his way through the field. He's made his way past Will Lucas, who's dropped from 3rd to 5th, and I think now shaping up to try and get to the inside, down to the heavy braking zone, but Vento able to just cover around the outside. Lap time-wise, Robert Nowaker with a 1:29.66 last time at the stripe. He's already built up a 4-second advantage over the rest of the field, but here comes Paley again, trying to close on the race leader, looking to the inside off the banking.
Gets the nose of the Mustang up the inside, and there's a little love tap there to the right rear of the second place car. Those tyre stacks, I'm actually amazed that those tyre stacks haven't gone flying at some stage. We've still got the Cup race to come tomorrow, of course, so they may not yet spend the whole weekend. I saw the track services field putting them there on the apices of the chicanes on Thursday when we were at the track, and I thought to myself, they look fairly substantial. They are, and all of the Mustang drivers saying, no, we're not getting anywhere near those. A 3-car battle now for second overall. Swinging out wide, Paley's going to try and diamond off the corner, get on the throttle and use that V8 power. All of these cars with 6-speed stick shifts, 3-pedal cars. There is a little bit of ABS assistance, but no traction control. You have to drive these cars. He's got the draft, but he's going to run out of banking. Oh, he's coming down the inside. The white car is Paley, tries to get up the inside. It's a really undulating braking area there, and the front rotors, the front discs, glowing red. I love racing in the night. There's something exotic about it, and I don't know why. Well, actually, I do, because somebody explained to me on @IMSARadio.com on Twitter or X some years ago, race cars sound better at night, and it's something to do with the density of the air. So they look better. We see the brakes working, the Brembo brakes working on these cars, and they actually sound better as well. Absolutely outstanding stuff here on the Roval.
Scientifically, we can now say that racing is better at night.
Yes, indeed.
Ooh, Sam Paley, a big wiggle there.
How close to the wall again on the exit there of that turn onto the infield.
I tell you what, I think Sam Paley is getting increasingly frustrated here and maybe overdriving that car a little bit as he shuffles to the inside through turn 5. Was that just the sign in the mirrors that, please let me by, I am faster?
I think he was cleaning his Michelin tyres. I think he realised he'd gone a little bit too wide, and he may have got a wee bit of pickup on his tyres as he was heading into the far side of the circuit. Nowaker still leading by nearly 6 seconds at the front of the field. And as they come through, the battle is on for second. As far as the situation in Dark Horse Legends, Alex Bashura said he would race his own way. but a side-by-side action through the chicane again with that number 18 in second. Marcus Vento holding on to second at the moment. Up to the high side now, trying to get a different line. Sam Paley pushing the second place car to defend close to the bottom of the banked turns of the speedway. 1.5 mile on the speedway, of course. We stretch that out to 2.32 miles, just under 4 kilometers for those of you on the international feed. And thank you for your support all year, wherever you've been in the world. Good to have your company. Appointment to view racing this Mustang Challenge. The calendar already out for 2026. We had the extra excitement of the Invitational at Le Mans on the 8.5 mile road circuit there, including a race on Saturday morning before the 24 hours at the Circuit de la Sarthe. And what an event that turned out to be, with some 40 cars. What a year it's been for Ford Racing and for Mustang, with the GT3 winning at the Rolex. A couple of other wins in the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, which comes to its conclusion next weekend at the Petit Le Mans race. And we'll see the big brothers of these cars, the GT3s and indeed the GT4s in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, in their final race as well. Ford also back on top at the Nürburgring a couple of weekends ago with the Ford GT3, the Mustang GT3 on the top step of the podium. First time for the Blue Oval in 10 years. And the growth of this championship, and also the Cup Championship as well, and the extension of the Cup Championship to Australia for 2026. Paley using every bit of the track. I mean, he's getting his every money's worth. He's using every single bit of the tarmac.
And my question to you was about to be, is this not maybe just because of tires? Is he trying to cool the car off for some reason? Because the amount of time he's pulling out of the draft on the banking, it would indicate to me that maybe he's run a very aggressive radiator setting, you know, not getting much cooling through the front of that car. But yeah, he is stacked up behind Venter right now, and he'll look to the inside through the infield. You're not making a move there, and he's just trying to set this transition back onto the banking up, but now has to defend from Acalante, who was right there in that black and yellow 32 Robert Noacre racing machine.
Yeah, and he's just getting better and better this weekend. Multiple champion in Mustangs, but not in this series. And he's come to play with maybe an eye on a championship run for next year. And you've got to say, from what we've seen this weekend, if he came back next year, you'd be looking at him to be running at the front of the field.
I think it's just impressive how quickly he's adapted to the situation, right? He's been thrown in at the deep end. This is by no means a regular Mustang Challenge routine that the drivers have been able to slot themselves into. And so while he's had some experience in this car through the development process, he's adjusted very quickly. And I'm very impressed by the performance. And I think we should also just give kudos here to Marcus Vento. He's not that slow. He has, yes, lost 8 and a bit seconds to Robert Noacre in 15 minutes, but only 8.5 seconds while defending like a lion.
And these three are about to become 5, possibly 6, battling for 2 positions on the podium at the end of the race, because Will Lucas, Sandy Sotelo, and Rafa Manos actually not that far back. But Shura still holding on to a top 10 position, but crucially winning in the Dark Horse Legends category, with Tate Pritt behind him. Pritt's just run his fastest lap, and that was nearly a full second quicker than Bashura as we go side by side at turn 7, and this time Paley did get it done down the inside, and here comes Acalante as well in that black and yellow car. 2 wide on the banking for Mustang Challenge, and that is a great opportunist manoeuvre, planned, schemed, executed by Paley, who locks up the left front just for a moment, but it was an opportunist manoeuvre for the second car in that line. Brilliant stuff.
Acalante saw the chance, and wow, that was heads up. And I think Paley gave up on being patient. He gave up on waiting until after turn 7 and realized, if I can't get it done anywhere else, this is the chance, and now let's see if he can make a break for it. But I think he's going to have to watch for Acalante. Acalante is a contender here to grab second.
Now we'll see when they come across the line next time around. Yeah, that's lost them about half a second or so to Robert Neuecker, who by his pace is cruising. His best lap is a 1:29.661. He went round last time at a 31.3 in clear air. So he's cruising. He is the lap record holder here, of course, because the last race set the lap record. These cars have never raced here before. He can cruise now to a full dozen victories out of 12 this year. Sam Paley in second now, 9 seconds back, as we said, for Paley Motorsport. But Andrew Acolante drafted into Robert Neuecker Racing Squad for the 6th car this weekend that they brought to the Speedway here at Charlotte. He's really holding his end up.
I think Acolante just hit the back of Sam Paley there.
He did.
I think Sam Paley is going to have a fun fight with Acolante to the end of this race. 30 minutes left to go. And you were just talking about track record.
Yeah.
We are a second slower than what Robert Neuecker was able to do in that first race.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's just because he's taking it easy. I think these conditions are really, really precarious. We're not getting any onboard cameras by any means, but we talked about the shadows, John. Just looking at as well as where some of those shadows are in the infield. Yes, they've added a couple of extra lights, but it's by no means like Daytona, where you've got lights all around the facility, even on the infield. This is a lot more of a difficult challenge, I think.
And what you don't see are the nuances of the cambers. Now, they've been out there for a couple of 30-minute practices and 15 minutes of qualifying yesterday, this morning, a 45-minute race, but really they haven't had a lot of track time here, so they're still learning. I mean, I've been on track days where I've had more time on track than these guys have had over the weekend. They've been thrown into this. The cars had to roll off the truck pretty well, and all of these teams and drivers have worked brilliantly together. Hello in the UK to Alan Prosser, he of the king of the screen grab, up late over there at nearly 1:30 in the morning. Good morning to those of you in the UK and Europe, already into Sunday over there. Thank you for tuning in, our international viewers. Those of you at the track as well. Hello, Jam. Met him yesterday. Was it only yesterday? It feels like a week ago. In our little informal meet-up in the infield. So let's check some of the other battles then. Bashura right with Matos. Matos is in the very bright yellow car coming through the chicane now. Bashura now he's going to be starting to worry here. Rafa Matos in that mostly yellow car. He's now holding up Bashura. Now that doesn't matter for Bashura. Bashura gets past, doesn't get past. He's still winning in Dark Horse. What he'll be worried about is twofold. The Prit car behind, which is Tate Prit in the white car with the blue racing stripes, very traditional, we like that. But the car behind is the bigger worry. That's Alfonso Diaz, who's having a tremendous season in the number 15. He comes through now as well. Alfonso Diaz, proudly representing Puerto Rico. He's got around about 30 guests here this weekend. Admitted to me at the weekend that since he started racing the Mustang Dark Horse R, every time he and his wife come through an airport, his wife says, well, we've got to get something with a blue oval on it. And it's done the job on Alfonso's wife already in terms of brand recognition.
To go to Bashura's mindset right now, though, John, look at the gap between Zachary Lee to Tom Tate. We're talking 21 seconds. So Bashura, Diaz, and Lee are doing a cracking job of staying with the leaders. There's a couple that have just skipped through the chicane, though. And that, I think, at least one of them might have been Marcos Vento. The other might have been Will Lucas. But that's the first time that we've seen any of the Dark Horse drivers have too much trouble at that one chicane, with the exception of Rafa Matos having that brief moment about halfway through race number 1. So let's keep an eye on if they're starting to struggle a little bit with the brakes, but seemingly back up to speed as Devin Anderson takes advantage, now up to 4th position.
Now, Dan McKeever, also new this weekend for Robert Neuecker Racing. He's the one who's running as the VIP. I want to see him the next time he goes by us, because there was some sparks coming from the right rear of that car And there's either something dragging on the ground, or maybe he has a slow puncture. He might have clipped the wall somewhere with one of his Michelin tyres. So we'll keep an eye out for that number 91 car. He's sitting in 14th position, right in front of Colin Harrison and behind Tom Tate in the multicoloured car. And a second there behind. There goes Bashira down the inside. Had to make that manoeuvre. There's the number 91. Oh, it's the exhaust. It's the baller exhaust and the muffler, the twin pipes on the right rear. Good spot from Alan Prosser, who let us know that, and he's over in the UK at the moment, so he's got very good eyes to have spotted that. It was scraping on the high banks, but what an overtake there by Alex Bashura as well. Now that might get the black and orange flags. Watch for the sparking now as he's up on the high banks. There it is. And that very lovely baller titanium exhaust and muffler box, which really enhances the sound of that. And look, I'm a sucker for a V8 anyway. And Tate's got problem now. Those two guys were racing closely together. That multicoloured number 8. My father, who was a police officer for all of my life until he retired, never believed in coincidences. That might, we haven't the evidence yet, but there's a suspicion there straight away.
Yes, no, I put the 2 and 2 together when I started to see the left front start to disintegrate. Sandy Satullo, I think the side skirt, the left side of the car, that's dragging on the floor as well. So there's a couple showing some battle scars, and there could be some debris on the track now.
Diffuser, that is.
And now there was some more bodywork just shed as they fly through. We have been relatively uninterrupted by the safety car this weekend, both in practice, in qualifying, and so far in the races as well. Lewis McLean doesn't believe in the commentator's curse. If we do get a safety car, you can place all the blame on me.
You are absolutely channeling Johnny Palmer there. Oh, that's side-by-side action as well. And again, that is that number 18 car, Marcus Vento, the blue and white car, under real pressure from Sandy Satula. They side-by-side on the high banks. That's great to see. Bit of side drafting here. Now, that will slow your opponent down, but I'm not sure. I think they're probably just slowing each other down and allowing Will Lucas to close in through the chicane. This is marvellous stuff, and we've still got 23 minutes left. We haven't even hit half distance yet. It's brilliant stuff. Live from the final race weekend of the season and the last half of our 45-minute race. Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Ford Racing Global Broadcast Centre, Arjuna Kangaparty and me, John Hangdorf, just loving this Saturday night shootout. Street fight from the street cars. Well, not quite, but there's elements of this circuit that look very straight, like, oh, over the top of the brow. That's brave. That's very brave indeed. The cars get very, very sideways down towards turn number 7, all the way down through the gearbox to first, and there's the tap on the back. You can see that one coming, and that will be more damage on the back of Marcus Vento. Sandy Satullo's going to need to be careful now because he's absolutely messed up his exit there, and it's a long run out of that turn 7 hairpin. Now he's given the hole in the air to Will Lucas, who's right with him. Now into the back chicane. Here they come again. Oh, that's tight, back up again. They make a big hole in the air, these cars. They really do. The draft is strong here.
And you can see just how much time they're losing by fighting, because Devin Anderson has pulled up the road. This will be a look at the contact. Satullo doesn't just get into the back of the car in front. He then gets the rear end stepping out on him. So you are seeing, John, the transitions. That was something the drivers talked about. They are throwing caution to the wind in the dying stages of the championship.
Yeah, and you've got to be careful doing that because these are based on a street car. Yes, they've got all of the safety equipment, the roll cage, the fire suppression system, the full harnesses, the racing seats, and on and on and on, special fuel tank, etc. But the body panels, generally speaking, are interchangeable with the street version of the car, the Dark Horse. And that means the radiator's in the standard position, and you do not want to be leaning on people. Bump and run here might look good, and we are on a stock car weekend, but those radiators are in their stock position.
And how many moments through the years in Cup, Xfinity and truck racing have we seen moments at that final chicane? It really invites itself for those sort of passes, and so we'll keep an eye. We did have a couple of...
Well, look at Jimmy Johnson. Took himself out of the playoffs, didn't he, a few years ago?
Well, you called out the tire barriers and how heavy they are relative to the weight of these Mustang Dark Horses. We had a couple of machines that had issues on the braking and had to effectively straight line and zigzag their way through those tire barriers, but able to do so without too much to stress about. Now, Alex Bashura, he is looking very confident.
Good.
Any thought that I had that he might just sit back and let the championship come to him, no, he wants to grab the championship with both hands and sign off with a victory.
That's a good way to do it, isn't it? Get the trophy for this race and indeed for the championship. Mustang owners tuned in from around the world. Tom Marshalek up in Ohio. Big fan of this series. Loves this challenge. Mustang Challenge Series. Back next year. Go to the Ford Racing website. Already announced the 2026 dates, and we are looking forward to bringing you live free coverage once again via the Ford Racing YouTube channel and the website. Timing as well from our colleagues at Al Kamel, who look after all of our IMSA series. Thank you to them for a busy season, which is not yet over, and more Ford interest at Petit Le Mans next weekend, which, if you're here in the States, have the first part of that race on NBC, and then the whole race is on Peacock. Of course, if you're outside the US, we'll have it for you on the IMSA YouTube channel. Audio from earlier in the week as well via RS2 IMSA Radio. And if you ever find yourself bandwidth challenged or you're traveling around, you can always get our audio via imsaradio.com. RS2 is the home and continues to be the home of IMSA Radio. There's always IMSA content on there. Now down into the chicane, halfway alongside, it's not alongside, and that was very close indeed, but really good decision making by Sotelo. I'm going to suggest that Sandy Sotelo's got a little more performance in his Michelin tyres than perhaps the car ahead, Marcus Vento, because he was able to tighten that corner, and actually he's looking in really good shape at the moment as the battle for fifth rages on now.
They've lost 5 seconds to Devin Anderson, and in the infield once again, Vento just has to close the door as another one tries to take a look at them.
White car goes wide. He's now going to cut back to the apex, get on the throttle early, and look how he closes in. That's about perfect. He's in the gap in the air again. He will drag underneath that small rear aerofoil, the spoiler on the back of that blue and white car. This is the battle for fifth position. Marcus Vento, Sandy Sotelo at it in the Dark Horse category. Just running out of the oval before that number 7 with the red stripes was able to pull out and make a pass.
It just seems as though Vento gets enough of a drive off the corner. It's not the greatest drive, and it happens both at turn 7 and here at turn 11 as well. Sandy Sotelo doesn't get close enough to get alongside and commit to the brakes, and I think right now, once again, it's kind of deja vu to what we were seeing slightly earlier when Vento was running up in second.
Did Vento just brush the tyres there with the right front of the car? If not, it was very close. It might just have been a shadow. Here comes Sotelo again. This is where he was good last lap. Gets right inside, doesn't even have to go out to the wall. Looks like a grip advantage. Braking, having to brake so he doesn't run into the back of that fifth place Valvoline car ahead of him, not using the runoff there. Able to cut to the inside, but can't get the overlap. Over the top of the brow through 6. Will go to the right-hand side here and make that blue and white car dive to the inside. That slows them down as they're coming together behind. And that is further back down the field. Oh, are they gonna get going again? Yes, they are. That was Nick Smither, I think. Certainly the 58 involved. Now, who was he close to? That, I think, was Drew Neuber, the second car there, Arjuna.
just based on the timings, and now smoke coming from the right side of the 58. So that is Smither. Can see the damage to the right front. So maybe the bodywork rubbing against the tire, and that's the right front, which is taking the majority of the abuse on the lap. This is a look at the cars, the stationary, very nervy moments as I think Paolo Salvatore comes through the scene of the incident.
Yeah, making up a couple of positions. Stephen Vaja as well got through there. But they are both moving again. We have a full course yellow. We have a full course yellow. Our first intervention. My co-commentator has now been banned from the Ford Racing Global Broadcast Centre. The first time we've seen the Dark Horse safety car come out. Now this, when you see it, it looks exactly like the race car. It is a street car. I think the suspension damage to the right front of that glorious shaded red and white and blue car of Nick Smither. And I'm surprised, is that front right wheel actually even turning? Is it? It must be, it can't be stationary. Yes, it is turning, but there's definitely bodywork damage. And Michelin make fabulous tyres, but it won't stand up to a tyre rub. I suspect that the full course yellow is for the debris rather than for what we saw there, although the leaders were coming up. Actually, I actually think Noeka had passed them. Perfect opportunity for us to take a look at what we normally call our Ford Racing Team update. It's a championship update at the moment because we are looking at 3 different teams, 3 different drivers, and they are the 3 who are battling for the Dark Horse Legends title. Coming into this race, the 33 of Alex Bashura and Spark Performance, hello Nathan Sparks, was leading by, did we say 70 or 80 points? When he was 80 points, wasn't it? Because he got the 10 points for being on pole. He holds the lead in the class with that 7th position overall. The Tech Sport number 15 driver is a little further back. That's Alfonso Diaz in 10th position, so 2nd position in the class for him. Just 1 position ahead of Zachary Lee, and they are 2nd and 3rd in the championship as they stand in that order as well. So at the moment, the championship positions would stay as they are.
No, Diaz would still finish, I think, behind Zachary
All
Lee.
right, okay.
But we're talking 30 points between the 2 of them. We're talking 130 to Alex Bashura.
Right.
These are margins, John, that realistically, we were talking about this championship coming down to the wire. If Alex Bashura had any issues this weekend, it would have blown things wide open. This Dark Horse Legends championship fight after Road America, when Bashura had his first stumbling block, has been one of the highlights of the championship.
Yeah, I'd agree. And by the way, we talk about the Dark Horse Legends. It is a category. The cars are identical. The performance potential of all of the 20 cars out there, absolutely identical. The regulations give you, and you said this, I'm going to let you explain this again because I thought the way you did it this morning was perfect. You have a choice, effectively, don't you?
Yes, it's optional. If you are, I think it's 45 years or older, you're a bronze-rated driver, you can opt in to Dark Horse Legends. Now, you're still competing in Dark Horse as well, so the way this works is the Dark Horse drivers still lose points if they finish behind Dark Horse Legends competitors, and so Alex Bashura, coming into the final round of the championship, he was 5th in the Dark Horse point standings. He was only 300 points back from Devin Anderson, who's going to be the vice champion based on how things are going. So it really allows an opportunity to focus on the main championship and the championship within the championship. And these are all drivers that are very capable at the end of the day, right? These aren't slow drivers that we're seeing in Dark Horse Legends.
I always liked the description of the Legends. It applies to what we loosely call gentleman drivers, bronze-rated drivers around the world. Many of these drivers either came to racing late or started a racing career and then had to go away, maybe have had a successful business career and have come back into racing. But I heard them described once as late starting professionals. which I thought was an absolutely outstanding way of describing it. They're having fun, they're not expecting to get picked up and become a Ford factory driver, whereas certainly some of the drivers in Dark Horse, and particularly the younger drivers, we have that Ford Racing Junior program, of course, and they're sending their drivers out all over the world to gain experience. They're having fun with their racing, but I thought late starting professionals was a good way to describe it. I can't imagine this is going to be a long safety car intervention, but it gives us a chance. Gives us a chance to have a look at that Dark Horse safety car that's leading them around. Now, other than the amber lights on the top and the rather lovely paint job, that looks grey under the lights. I will tell you now, that's got flecks of blue and red and silver. Not the old 70s, 80s customs car metal flake, but not far off it. It's a gorgeous colour. And notice how similar that is, other than a racing livery, to the car that's waving behind Robert Neuecker. And that is because, effectively, it's the same car. It has the same stick shift. It has the same transmission, axle, engine, same suspension, arms, and, of course, the same blip shift as well, the automatic downshift or the automatic blip for the downshift that these drivers love, and even the pro drivers who have driven these Dark Horse R's love. Now, right now, it doesn't have amber lights flashing on the top, so with coming down to 9 minutes to go, Arjuna, Sam Paley and the rest of the field have an opportunity, but I think there's a lapped car in between Paley, Aquilante and Neuecker. Yes, there is.
I think two, in fact, potentially. So that might be...
trying to see through the headlights. Yeah, good point.
Definitely, I think Stephen Viger in that blue machine. Yes. And then I think, is that Smithers in the one behind before we get to Paley?
It is Nick Smither behind there in that graded red, white and blue car. Now, we could sort of do, Robert Neuecker won't like me for saying this, but we could sort of do with those guys just gently dropping to the low side and carrying on their battle as the Dark Horse street car pulls into pit lane, and the field's under control of our champion-elect, going for 12 out of 12. Neuecker brings them back into the acceleration zone, which is right in the middle of that chicane, and he's got a huge advantage because of those two lapped cars. He goes through. The battle is all behind Paley, Aquilante, Anderson, Vento, Sandy Sotelo very sideways as well there for a moment, and Bashura's in there. He does not need any incident here as he's going past the lap cars. That is a big decision for him even to make that manoeuvre. He's had a great restart.
I tell you what, Sam Paley now left on the outside. He's got, is that smoke from an issue from contact with Stephen Viger? He's slow, and here comes Aquilante on the inside. Oh my goodness, what a chaotic restart. And Devin Anderson, the Tech Sport 22, bearing some new colors for this weekend, John. He is looking good to be our vice champion, and he has been very consistent this season as he tries to shove his nose to the inside.
Almost three across the track going into the hairpin at turn 7. Sam Paley is going to have to nurse this car home for the last 7.5 minutes. There's definitely some bodywork damage, and either something trailing onto the track or something rubbing on his right rear Michelin tyre. Hopping across the curb. Let's have a look at the car as he comes past our vantage point. Well, whatever it was has stopped, and that's also very. Behind him, the battle for third is Devin Anderson and the number 32, the black and yellow car of Andrew Aquilante. They aren't giving it up either. Alex Bashura was right in the thick of that restart, and I think rather sensibly has backed off just a tiny bit and given Sandy Sotelo a bit of room. Rafa Matos now in front of Alfonso Diaz. That's the bright yellow car. And Rafa right on the tailpipes of Alex Bashura, but the battle is further up the field. The black and yellow number 32, and this is for the last step on the box.
There's been a couple of races where we've seen Devin Anderson try and take the charge to Robert Nowaker, including at VIR. He takes the challenge to the back of Andrew Akalante. It's a big bit of contact and some bodywork damage, I'm pretty sure, on the front end of Anderson's machine. And there we go, the hood on now the windshield of the car, and he's headed back to pit lane.
Well, he might if he just shuffles down a little bit to see underneath that, but he will not be at speed. That was not a deliberate manoeuvre. Oh, what a considerate driver. He's got his left-hand trafficator on, pulls to the side of the track, but he has no room underneath. I think it's broken the windscreen as well, actually. It wouldn't surprise me. So we're going to have, with 5.5 to go, I think we've got to have the Dark Horse R safety car coming out again, and indeed we do. Yeah, the windscreen, the windshield has been broken. That was not at all. He's done the radiator as well. Perfect example as what I was talking about before. You can see the front wings, the fenders are bent, particularly to the left front, and absolutely not a deliberate manoeuvre. He jinxed to the inside, and he was trying to brake a little bit later than the car ahead, the Aqualanti car. And that has bent the left front. Air pressure underneath the hood pulls it back, and as we'd see in the UK, the bonnet has flipped up. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to go down, although that might be enough. Oh, look at the broken windscreen right in front of the driver's eye view. That might be enough for him to be able to turn back to the pits. Depends what his temps are running at the moment. No, he's going to do that. We might get, in true stock car style, a green-white checker here to end the season of Ford Racing Mustang Challenge.
I think it's going to depend on if there was any debris that was thrown onto the track, but looking at the damage, it's relatively self-contained. So
yeah, don't go too fast. Don't go too fast. That look,
it started to creep up.
It's just hovering. Movable aerodynamic device in a way you don't want it. It's working as an air brake at the front of that Tech Sport red, white and blue machine.
And how frustrating must that be for Devin as well? Because he's, like I was saying, he's had a very good season. And
is that going to cost him second place in the championship?
Let me do the math.
Wait, it's arithmetic. It isn't mathematics. I'm not asking you to do a quadratic equation, please. You've written a program for it anyway, haven't you?
Well, quick.
Arjuna's abacus working full-time here.
If he finishes down in 17th position, which actually he may not, so my mathematics, arithmetic is going to be off, he would have been in second by 10 points over Marcus Vento, but I think he is going to lose.
That's going to be 10th in Dark Horse. So does he get...
No, but because of the way it's scored, Dark Horse is all the drivers,
that's
including
right.
Dark Horse Legends.
And we're back to green. We are back to green. Excellent. Green, and it will be a green-white checker. So that will do the quick arithmetic before the end of the race. And the challenger there is Sam Paley's car smoking again as he goes through the infield in front of Andrew Akalante. Who is his closest challenger then for Anderson in second place in the championship?
So both Marcus Vento and Sandy Satula, they were only separated by about 10 points coming into the proceedings.
He's going to I reckon Anderson's going to finish 20th because everybody else is still going and will get past him. So that is awful for him in the championship standings.
If it finishes as this and Anderson drops to 20th, he'll be tied with Sandy Satula for third, and I don't trust my mind right now to go back and work out the tiebreaker.
So who goes up to second then?
Vento.
Oh my goodness. Vento in fourth at the moment. And there's a missed opportunity.
That was Vento.
That's Vento. We've spoken about him potentially taking second in the championship, and he's lost a couple of places and some real estate. It'll be the white flag this time by, I think. Let's have a look at the starter stand. Oh, maybe not. No, there's going to be another lap after this. Great restart from Nowick. It gives us an extra 2.320 miles at the end of the season. Marvellous stuff. Noega by a second over Paley, Adelante in third, Satulo Vento down to 5th position, did lose 1 spot.
And that now means Sandy Satulo is provisionally 2nd in the championship. They are fighting 4th and 5th on track to be vice champions behind Robert Noaker.
Quick bit of arithmetic by McCall, commentator in the Ford Racing Global Arithmetic Centre now, as we're going to call it. We need a Ford branded abacus, definitely, for next season when we get to this area of the season. What a run by Andrew Acolante as well, sitting at the moment in a podium spot in his first Mustang Challenge weekend.
Can't speak highly enough to the progression that we've seen from him as well, right? Building up through those first 2 practice sessions, and then that first race solid, steady, and now grabbing that podium spot. He will be thrilled, as I think Alex Bashura is going to be, because he's got 1 more lap to hold on and in a very good position.
Alex will have been worried there, but he survived the restart. He's in amongst the Dark Horse release. He's got that bright yellow car of Rafa Matos behind him. He's got the blue and white number 18 of Marcos Vento ahead of him. But it has been a season about one man. He is perfect. He wins and the championship as he goes through, and in 2 1/3 miles time, we can say he's done it at every single track, every single race. This is effectively a lap of honour now for the whole season for Robert Noaker.
Try to think about it in any sport. It would be like in the Premier League if a team won all 38 of the games. In baseball, if they won all 200 games that they play through the playoffs. It is a remarkable run, an equal machinery to continuously be the man to beat. And Robert Noaker is going to be testing a GT4 car again soon. Will Alex Bashura be making some moves and join him in that GT4 tests?
Do not do it. There's no need. That's Ventos who was up alongside. Halfway around the last lap, it became a badge of honour for Robert Noaker. Very relaxed when we spoke to him before the first race. He wanted to do the full 12. He's going to achieve that. This is history being made at Charlotte Motor Speedway for Ford Racing and the Mustang Challenge for 2025. Robert Noaker, who drives the truck to each and every round. The team have brought 6 cars here this weekend, but it's all about number 13. 13 has done it 12 times, and we have a champion in 2025. Noaker has done the whole lot. 12 W's on the season, and through to the final checkered flag of the season as well. For now, we can confirm, subject to post-race technical inspection, that Alex Bashura for Spark Performance, with a very creditable 6th place overall, will be 2025's Dark Horse Legend champion. Well, I am going to talk about Robert Noaker for a moment whilst Arjuna looks at the finishing order and works out who 2nd and 3rd in the championship is going to be in both Dark Horse and Dark Horse Legends. Robert Noaker last year took this championship on and decided he was going to have another crack at it this year as the defending champ, and you know, there's nothing really to be gained by that. You can only lose, that's what you say. But he wasn't going to let that stand in his way, and he's gone 1 better, he's gone 12 better, and every single round he has won. And the amount of bonus points he's taken for poles and fastest laps there as well. Bashura, well, not quite as dominant in Dark Horse Legends, but Alex will be delighted what he's done in this championship this year. He's made this one of the 2 IMSA single make championships. He's really thrown himself into this one, and it has paid off.
Wholly deserved, I think, as well. All 3 of the drivers in that championship fight, a great job, as now both are champions in 2025. Celebrate on the banking.
Oh, that's fantastic stuff as they come through into pit lane. Let's have a look for you at the unofficial results. Post-race tech, of course, still to be enacted. Robert Noaker we might as well have just cut and pasted that every single round of the season. Sam Paley stands on the final podium of the season, and it's a 1-3 for Robert Noyaker Racing, with Andrew Akalante in his first race weekend in this championship. If he comes back next year, watch out for Andrew, and I presume they want to hold on to the number 32. Then Sandy Satulo, better race for him than earlier this morning, showed a lot more speed. Marcus Vento, what could have been for him, championship implications for those two swapping around at the end. We'll get to that in a moment. Dark Horse Legends champion well inside the top 10 at 6 for Alex Bashir, ahead of Rafa Matos, Alfonso Diaz and Zach Lee in the Legends, also in the top 3 in the Legends, and top 3 in the championship too, and both in the top 10. Tate Pritt makes up the 10 for you for automatic racing. Will Lucas for Robert Noyaker Racing. Next up then, Paolo Salvatore, just off the podium for Dark Horse Legends in 12th overall, ahead of Dan McKeever, guest VIP driver this weekend as far as the scoring was concerned, in 13th position. Colin Harrison, Joe Dedricks, another 6th finish for him in Dark Horse Legends. Tom Tate, Stephen Viger, Juna Neubauer, Devin Anderson and Nick Smithers didn't make the end. And how appropriate is it that in Victory Circle for the Bank of America ROVAL 400 stock car weekend, we have our championship winner every single race this year. Whilst he's getting the helmet off, and before we wrap up, what about second and third in Dark Horse, provisionally here, with a bit of arithmetic going on in the Ford Racing Global Broadcast Centre?
My heart goes out to Devin Anderson, because he will drop to third. He ends up finishing in front of Nick Smithers, who does end up as a DNF as well. So it's going to be Sandy Satulo, our vice champion, Devin Anderson in third, and then Marcus Vento in fourth. Dark Horse Legends, Alex Bashora, our champion. Zachary Lee holds on to second.
Wow.
Alfonso Diaz is in third.
Well, they will all be with me tomorrow, as well as the rest of the 20 fields that were here, and some of the other championship drivers coming to our brunch of champions. What a season, what a champion. Perfection is number 13, Robert Noyaker. We'll see you next year. Bye-bye.